Labadiena 15 min žiūrovai ir skaitytojai. Aliaksandras Lukašenka šią savaitę susitiks su Vladimiru Putinu. Tai skelbia Baltarusijos valstybinė žiniasklaida. Ir ši žinia paskelbta po kalbų, esą Lukašenka sunkiai serga. Šį mėnesį jis beveik savaitę nesirodė viešumoje. Tačiau siekiant paneigti kalbas, buvo išplatintos Lukašenkos nuotraukos, kur jo ranka yra užbintuota. Kasgi vyksta Baltarusijoje, klausėme su Baltarusijos opozicijos lyderė Sviatlanos Cichanouskaja. Sveiki. Hello.
Hello.
Sviatlana, do you expect to go back to Belarus anytime soon?
I don't know how soon, but of course I'm sure that I will return to my homeland when political prisoners are released. You know, we have to organize free and fair elections. Although there is a long road possibly, you know, to go, but we, all Belarusian people who had to flee Belarus because of repressions, are dreaming to return home.
And we heard the news that Mr. Roman Protasevich was pardoned by Minsk on Monday. Why and what is happening there?
You know, Roman is a toy in the hands of the regime. You know, he was on the hijacked airplane, and then he was used by a regime in the advantage. Of course, he's a hostage. We understand this, but he started to collaborate with the regime, and recently he was given 8 years, and then he was pardoned. You know, I even don't know what to think about this, because just imagine how Roman feels now. He, you know, actually betrayed people who have been working with him. He provided a lot of information about people who have been detained later. But every person has to ask himself or herself how he or she would act in the same position as Roman. There are plenty of our heroes in prisons who didn't collaborate with the KGB, with Lukashenko's regime, but Roman found himself in such position to do this.
Last few weeks, we've heard a lot of talks and news about Lukashenko's state of health, and now it has been announced that he is going to meet Vladimir Putin. Do you see any political shifts, power shifts in Minsk?
No, actually now, you know, Lukashenko for many years built his vertical of power for himself, and people, because of fear, because of some advantage, they obey to Lukashenko. And Putin needs Lukashenko now as well, because Lukashenko, through Lukashenko's hands, Putin commit crimes in Ukraine. Lukashenko commits crimes in Belarus. So in case, you know, Lukashenko disappears for some reasons, like recently he disappeared for a couple of days, there will be you know, maybe collapse of vertical of power. You know, powers that around Lukashenko would compete. Maybe Russia would like to put pro-Russian person in as a head of government, but we have to understand that people of Belarus will not accept this, and it will be a non-stable situation for Belarusian people. And our task as democratic forces will be to use this moment to our advantage. So we are working on the plan. What we will do in case you know, Lukashenko disappears.
What would you do?
We actually must be ready for all possible scenarios, and we are discussing the scenarios right now. We must make sure that we are in touch with all those who share our values, who see Belarus as democratic and independent country. We are talking to different groups within democratic forces who are ready to participate in this plan. We must make sure that new free and fair elections take place, and that Russia will not be able to interfere. And it will be definitely you know, we'll be definitely trying, at least. We will ask the international community to help us with that, to be proactive and to be brave. We will need the international organizations to make sure that all political prisoners are released and the transition will be smooth and peaceful. Of course, mobilization of civil society, of people inside Belarus and those who are in exile will be also necessary.
Do you have any assurance from these groups that you're talking to that they would help if needed?
Look, we are working on the plan where all the most active groups and NGOs are involved. So we are not just inventing our personal plan. We are working on transition period with the civil society. And those people who are working on this plan, of course, they're ready, to participate.
And after 2020 protests in Minsk and in other places in Belarus, a lot of people who disagreed against regime left Belarus. Is there still enough power, public power, and strong public potential to go against the regime?
The will of people for sure didn't disappear. People didn't accept the regime, they didn't accept Lukashenko. And when the window of opportunity comes, people will rise again. Of course, our opportunity to act inside the country are very limited now. And we can't organize open protests right now because of repressions, but the resistance went underground. And there is a protest right now. There is no process right now because of repressions, but we have our volunteers, our network of activists, our partisans and cyber partisans. Some is that network that is distributing honest news. So we ask people to stay safe now, but to build network at the moment, to build structures, but not to risk their lives and freedom, and because the cost is too high. But for sure, as the example with disappearance of Lukashenko showed, that people are ready for actions, because his disappearance galvanized, new discussion among the society, what to do, how we should act. So people's energy is still there.
Would you say that the network you're talking about is even stronger than in 2020, when it was not as planned, as well planned as now?
In 2020, our uprising was from hearts of people. We haven't been preparing for this uprising. But now for almost 3 years, we have built structures, political structures, NGO structures. People know how to communicate to each other. We have access to free media. We have, huge international support. So we are more structurized at the moment, is for sure.
And Lukashenko has changed the constitution to favor his environment if he died. Is there any legal ways to take the power from the regime as soon as possible and to organize elections, democratic elections?
Actually, the constitution doesn't give a clear answer to what happens if Lukashenko, dies or disappears. And it will be a moment of uncertainty, but also a moment of opportunity for us to turn Belarus into democracy. Definitely some groups in the regime will try to get power from Lukashenko, but there is no one group that has enough power and legitimacy. There will be an internal power struggle, and we should use that moment and to find allies within the system interested in democratic changes. Many of them don't want Russia to come. We also have to strengthen our national identity and resilience within Belarusian society. So it won't accept any new dictator or Russian protectorate.
How would we know that the candidate, a possible candidate, is from Russia, is from Russia's regime?
Look, but we know people in the regime, and of course, if new person appears on the scene, we will know about this. But nevertheless, whoever is put on this position after Lukashenko disappears, this person will not be accepted by Belarusian people without free and fair elections. Our aim is clear. So it will be a moment of turbulence, non-stable situation in Belarus, and it will not be over until we will able to have new free and fair elections.
You a few times repeated that when Lukashenko disappears, history shows that some dictators did not announce that they are no longer have their hands on the wheel. Are you sure that Lukashenko is still controls the regime at any scale?
Yeah, I know, at the moment, as I said, Lukashenko has built his vertical of power only for himself. And even the moment of his recent disappearance showed that like government, pro-government, they don't know how to react. How to put this disappearance into media. For sure, if Lukashenko can't rule his vertical of power anymore, it will be very noticeable. I want to remind that we have people inside the structure, inside this vertical of Lukashenko's regime power, who deliver us inside information. So we will know about the changes. We have people on the ground in different structures who will feel, that changes are coming.
And changes are not came yet.
Lukashenko is still there. That's right. But our task and what we are doing, actually, we are keeping Lukashenko in constant stress. We creating multiple points of pressure on the regime from inside the country, from outside the country. Why do you think the repressions are continuing in Belarus? Why every day 11, 15 people are being detained? Because it's the only way how Lukashenko can control people. And people know as Lukashenko knows as only repression stops, people will appear on the streets again. So for sure we will feel this moment and we will be ready for this.
Thank you very much for your time for this show and interview. We talked with Sviatlana Cichanouskaja ir mes kalbėjome su Sviatlana Cichanouskaja. Ji yra Baltarusijos opozicijos lyderė, kuri gyvena Lietuvoje. Tiek šioje laidoje. Ačiū, kad žiūrėjote. Iki.